This is Nightly Business Report with Sue Herrera and Bill Griffin.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Nightly Business Report. I'm Sue Herrera.
And I'm Bill Griffin.
You know, every night we bring you in-depth market coverage and stories about business and the economy. But today the markets were closed for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. So tonight we're exploring something a little different.
Right, we're going to look at the American entrepreneur and that spirit that turns a bright idea into a successful business.
We'll also show you how some women are breaking barriers in the business world.
And then later, an investigative piece that you just have to see to believe. But we begin tonight with a small business story and a retail entrepreneur who is working to make fashion more sustainable and environmentally friendly. Listen to this. According to one estimate, in the last 20 years, Americans have doubled the amount of clothing that they toss out each year to 14 million tons. But startups interested in attacking that problem found it difficult to find affordable materials and manufacturing until one Boston entrepreneur showed them how to go green and make green at the same time.
This is our new blazer.
Cara Bartlett's clothing line, Veda, is moving into a third office in 3 years.
And now this space is almost triple.
A sure sign of growth. Her multi-use pieces, zip-out sleeves turn this blazer into a vest, for example, are ethically made and sustainably sourced. That is, her domestic manufacturers pay their employees a living wage, and that's surplus fabric that she bought from another company.
If you launched this type of company 10 years ago, I think it would have bombed.
She credits Shannon Lohr's Factory 45 for making it work. That's a 6-month online crash course on sourcing materials, manufacturing, and raising capital ethically and sustainably.
I was a fast fashion bargain bin junkie in college. Like, I wanted the deal. I was known for wearing a dress once, throwing it in my closet, never looking at it again.
But her attitude changed while traveling after college when she learned how waste impacts the world, prompting Lohr and a business partner to create the Versalet, one piece that could be worn 15 or more different ways. But sourcing materials and finding a manufacturer took them a year and a half. Raising money on Kickstarter was the easy part.
We set a goal of $20,000 and we ended up tripling our goal and becoming the highest funded fashion project in Kickstarter history at that time.
The Versalet was profitable from the get-go, but Lohr wasn't in it for the long haul. Instead, she began to share what she'd learned.
There were so many people out there who wanted to start clothing companies. They were even interested in sustainability and, ethical manufacturing, but they didn't know where to start.
Lohr offered classes in 2014, then moved online. 120 designers are paying $500 a month for Factory 45, giving them access to Lohr's invaluable and growing database of suppliers and manufacturers. This manufacturer in Fall River, Massachusetts, works with Lohr's husband. His company, called Project Repat, turns old T-shirts into quilts. Ross Lohr says they're on track to sell $10 million worth of quilts in 2018. New Yorker Mary Bemis dreams of numbers like that. She's an advertising data analyst by day, but Factory 45 helped her launch Reprise Activewear in 2018.
I knew sort of like the broad steps of I need to find a fabric, someone will need to sew it for me, I'll need to distribute it, I'll need to raise money, but how to do any of that I had no idea.
Her workout gear is made of tencel. It grows on eucalyptus trees. There's no polyester.
It's naturally cooling, it's sweat wicking, it's antibacterial.
Priced to compete with Nike and Lululemon, the leggings are $109. She sold about 300 pieces in just 2 months. The printer she found in Brooklyn offers water-based ink. It costs more, but owner Jose Andrade says there is growing demand for it.
It's more prevalent, more like in our face in the past 2 years, and I think that's kind of like the future for us right now.
You can wear it open or closed.
And that's the type of future that Shannon Lohr is betting on.
This growth is just amazing.
Well, organic food is now a $50 billion a year industry, so who knows? By the way, Shannon Lohr just opened a new section on her site called Market 45, where her clients can showcase their greener brands as they try to bring a different type of thinking to the fashion industry.
Do you ever wonder where all of that stuff you buy online is kept or how it gets shipped? A lot of companies get help by outsourcing. Third-party logistics is an industry worth almost $200 billion in the U.S. alone, thanks to the booming e-commerce business. And that's why one entrepreneur is helping other companies get their products from here to there. Raphael Zakhanov began selling high-end surplus watches and jewelry as he worked his way through college in 2009. He discounted prices and sold online through Amazon, eBay, and others out of an apartment in Queens.
The living room was a warehouse, and the bedroom was a warehouse.
As he filled up the apartment with 10,000 items, Zakhanov began to notice price differences between the Amazons and eBays, telling friends and family running similar businesses that they often paid too much.
I saw that they're really missing an opportunity of selling elsewhere where the margins were better. None of them wanted to handle the logistics, or the space was too expensive.
A burgeoning e-commerce boom meant thousands of small businesses needed help with storage, packaging, labeling, and shipping.
I started calling up friends and I was like, hey, instead of you sending everything to Amazon, send me it. I'll send half to Amazon, we'll keep half of it by us, and we'll pick, pack, and ship it as the orders come in.
Starting in 2011, his company, Ruby Has Fulfillment, outgrew the apartment, and then an office space and a warehouse. By 2014, it was handling a couple thousand orders a day, and Ruby took its conveyor systems and shelving to a warehouse on Long Island. On average, the company says customers save 45% on freight, and if you think Ruby's warehouse looks like an Amazon fulfillment center, well, that's no accident.
We had to do everything right, and we had to do it the way Amazon would do it, just on a much smaller scale. We have clients today that have distribution centers 10 times our size, where that distribution center cannot handle the direct-to-consumer needs.
In fact, Ruby handles some orders from Amazon, but one thing Ruby offers that Amazon doesn't is the ability to use a customer's branded packaging.
There's a lot of companies that can say that they can do the branding, but not in scale, right? As soon as you start doing 1,000 orders a day, what we see is they break down on scale.
I don't want it to be like a third-party brand.
Chris Wichert started his high-end sneaker brand Koyo in a Brooklyn, New York apartment 3 years ago. Now Koyo has stores in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, but 60% of its business happens online. When Wichert signed on with Ruby this year, they realized some of his inventory lacked the barcodes needed for automated processing.
They discovered the problem, and without just sending them back or ignoring the problem, they would print barcodes themselves and label them and get them into the system so that nothing is lost.
Now with almost 200 clients and revenue of more than $17 million a year, Ruby has added warehouses in Las Vegas and New Jersey, with plans to expand further in 2019, aiming to keep delivery times down to the 2 to 3 days consumers expect and businesses depend on.
You could literally deploy those dollars into product, marketing, staffing, right? Things that actually help them grow the business. Getting a new forklift isn't going to add their top line or to the bottom line.
Ruby now has more than 200 employees and is looking to expand not only here at home, but into Canada and Europe in the near future.
Still ahead, how women are redefining business, from home building to Silicon Valley to the oil patch. Home building is an overwhelmingly male-dominated business, from framers on the job site right up to the C-suite. But one CEO is trying to break that mold, not just for herself, but for one of the nation's largest publicly traded home builders. Diana Olick has more.
Arizona-based Taylor Morrison Homes is the nation's 7th largest publicly traded home builder by revenue, and its CEO, Cheryl Palmer, is the first and only one of her kind in those ranks, a female CEO.
I'm not certain that this was an intentional path for me, but it's one that's felt right for, obviously, I've been in this industry for 20 years. I'm colorblind, I'm gender blind, so they might notice that I'm the single female at the table, but for me, this is just what I do. And, you know, all the old jokes about there's no line to the ladies' restroom, those are all true. But it doesn't change me. I've always said in business, the day I have to change who I am is probably the day I'll stop.
Palmer started in home building, first at Pulte Homes, then Taylor Morrison. She took the company public in 2012. You're at the table with the other publicly traded CEOs. Have you ever felt minimized? And if so, how?
For sure. Early days, I think if I were to share a view, I almost think it kind of glassed over. I just had to continue, and I knew that my positions, my views on the business were right. I would say the group of CEOs had to get to know me, and now I think, you know, it's an equal playing field, but it took time. Okay, thanks.
And over time, nearly a dozen years as CEO, Palmer built both her reputation as well as an uncharacteristically female staff given the business.
Do you promote women more as a leader of this company, or do they just come to you because of what the company is?
So I think we promote certain skills that are required, and we have a culture that I think attracts certain types of people around personal development and, you know, the passion and the higher purpose of what we as a company stand for. We actually don't have any affinity programs for females. Now, what I would hear from my people services department is that having me in this seat does attract other women. I think it gives hope. Nearly 50% of our managers, that first level management, is female. I think it's about 49.2%.
And that's incredibly rare.
That's incredibly rare.
But given the product, houses, Palmer sees it as just plain common sense.
I will tell you, I think it makes us a better company, because to get that diversity of thinking at our table, on a corporate level, at the division table, it's really critical. Think about who the buyers are today out buying houses, and to miss the opportunity to have the female thoughts and, you know, kind of lens and voice would be shameful.
Taylor Morrison's board is also female heavy, but even with that achievement, she admits to a glaring problem, one she calls a tragedy.
Women just don't tend to be there for other women. And I don't know if that's a result of there's so few slots at the top that people feel like they have to compete. I'm very hopeful that as the industry develops and as we see more women in the space, that women take the opportunity to embrace the need and help other women as compared to push them down.
For Nightly Business Report, I'm Diana Olick in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Companies are in need of workers in this tight labor market. That problem has become particularly evident in the oil patch, and a wave of women are breaking barriers in this traditionally male business. Jane Wells is in Deer Park, Texas.
Afternoon, everybody. Christina Smith is a mother of 3. She used to manage a Subway sandwich shop, worked at a commercial dive store. Then she went back to school, got a technical degree, and now she's a shift supervisor at a Shell plant in Deer Park, Texas, making good money.
My dad's exact words were, "Kid, you hit the jackpot."
The petroleum industry estimates only 15% of its workforce is female, and only about half that number reach the executive level, like Lori Freeman, a general manager in the Gulf of Mexico.
I personally set the bar high for myself, so a lot of the challenges that I think I went through were actually challenges that I had set for myself.
Now, Big Oil is going big on hiring more women. Helping them is industry veteran Katie Maynard, who vividly recalls a remark made by a man sitting next to her on a flight to Houston.
And he said to me, "What's a pretty young lady like you doing in a dark, dangerous business like oil and gas?"
She decided to create Pink Petro, a for-profit company funded by Shell and others to reach out to women who may have never even considered a career in energy. The outreach to women is happening as oil prices are falling, which is providing an extra challenge to an industry with an aging workforce that really needs a new generation of workers, male or female.
We need to think about the marathon. It's not a sprint.
I'm 40 now, but I don't remember growing up somebody saying, why don't you go work at the plant? Or you could be an engineer, or,
Some of the women mentor each other about opportunities and the challenges, like not always being recognized as a senior engineer.
When I walked in the room, a person asked if I could put their coat up.
But that's happening less and less.
I work hard, I want to learn, I like to help people, and because of that, I feel respected.
In the end, why recruit women? In an industry needing a pipeline for a next generation workforce, the answer may be, why not? For Nightly Business Report, Jane Wells, Deer Park, Texas.
There is also a pretty big gender gap when it comes to venture capital or VC funding. But an effort is being made to make things more equal there. And that was a big topic of discussion at a recent conference attended by Julia Borston.
At Fortune's Most Powerful Women Next Gen conference, the spotlight is on the value of diversity. For every dollar invested, startups co-founded by women generated more than double the revenue that male-founded startups did, according to a BCG study. Despite the financial argument for diversity, 17% of startups in the U.S. last year had a woman founder, and 2% of VC funding went to female founders.
We have a long way to go to get to parity. But we are seeing a shift in the conversation and more people talking about, one, not only funding female founders, but also thinking about who are the funders around the table. And so we're having more of those conversations, more emphasis on that.
Half the investments in Ferreira's last fund, including Glossier and Daily Harvest, were female-led companies.
It wasn't Ferreira's mandate to invest in women, but she says she may have seen opportunities that her male counterparts didn't. One reason such a small percent of VC funding goes to women is that 9% of U.S. VCs are women, and about 3/4 of U.S. firms don't have any female partners.
New organizations are tackling this issue. All Raise focuses on women in VC as both funders and founders, while #Angels helps educate VCs and startups on the value of bringing in women's perspectives early and investing in diverse teams.
Our little cottage industry made up of small firms are highlighting the importance of diversity. They are finally getting it, and for that I am ecstatic. We've got to make sure as an industry that those women and those quote-unquote diverse hires are not looked at as diverse hires, that they are looked at as incredibly productive and high-performing and equal members of the team.
Ibrahim sees a direct correlation between a more diverse set of funders and higher returns. Canaan's partners are 40% female, and 2 of their last 3 funds are top performing, driving optimism that the VC gender gap will close as people understand that diversity is good for business. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Julia Borston in Dana Point, California.
Coming up, an investigation into the rise and decline of a private jet company dubbed the Uber of private jets.
It was dubbed the Uber of air travel. JetSmarter became a billion-dollar company by making private jet travel easier and more affordable. But now a CNBC investigation finds that the company, known for glamour in the sky, is caught in a downward draft, faced with angry members and questions about security. Here's Robert Frank with Tailspin.
I'm obsessed with JetSmarter. I'm about to take off for LA. Super cool app called JetSmarter.
JetSmarter. It's amazing. Maybe we can fly together. See you in the air.
Have a great night.
I'm Jet Smarter.
It took the private jet set by storm. With a simple app and a dazzling image campaign and press coverage, JetSmarter claimed to revolutionize the business of private jet travel. The company had a star-studded takeoff, raising millions from early investors that included the Saudi royal family and Jay-Z. And there was no shortage of big-name endorsements. JetSmarter signed up 10,000 members and became the first flying unicorn, valued at over $1 billion. But our investigation found that behind its elite image, JetSmarter has left a trail of outraged customers, millions of dollars in losses, and concerns about some passengers on flights. Customers around the country, some paying nearly $100,000 for multi-year memberships, now call the company a fraud, a high-tech shell game, and an unlawful bait and switch.
The way that the system works is a natural ecosystem.
It all sounded so promising in 2016 when JetSmarter's then 27-year-old CEO and founder, Sergey Petrosov, appeared on CNBC.
We offer about 50,000 hours of scheduled flights every year. That's like 120 flights a day. There's plenty of lobster for everybody to go around.
And the members feasted, at least in the beginning. Unlike most private jet companies, JetSmarter sells individual seats on its planes, which customers book with the app. Sally Horchow is a Broadway producer who travels between her Los Angeles home and New York. She paid a $9,000 annual membership to join JetSmarter in early 2015, which allowed her unlimited private jet flights.
The value proposition in the original company was just kind of ridiculous. It seemed too good to be true, really.
It was too good to last. JetSmarter began stripping away the benefits of membership. No more free choppers, no more free food. And last year, it told customers they would now have to pay for flights which were supposed to be included in their membership.
Holy S.A. Like, this is not what I signed up for. This is a bait and switch.
Customers like Horchow told us the changes made their expensive memberships virtually worthless. The company's membership agreement says that the terms are subject to change, suspension, or termination at any time. In a statement to CNBC, JetSmarter said, "The vast majority of our core customers understand the necessity of these decisions, and it is elevating the quality of people flying together." Andrew Pressler was one of the JetSmarter salespeople signing up those members. He said he was under pressure to hit aggressive sales targets.
Every other month, there was a new, what the sales floor would call money grab.
And that's what you called it?
That's what all the sales guys called it, just another money grab.
Pressler was fired. The company said it was poor performance and that he lied to customers, though he said it was likely due to a call over a competing job offer. He posted what happened on LinkedIn, where he called the company cold-hearted for firing him, but said he remained passionate about the product they provide. And then he got this threatening letter from JetSmarter's general counsel, calling the post false and libelous.
Why were they so threatened by me? I have no idea. Maybe because the truth got out.
CNBC has learned that JetSmarter has also fallen short on its promises to investors. JetSmarter made this confidential presentation to potential investors in 2017. Revenues would grow from $252 million to more than $2 billion in just 2 years, and membership would jump from over 11,000 to over 100,000 by 2020. But the losses kept growing. Today's membership, only around 8,000. JetSmarter refused to comment on its financials. Members are also concerned about security aboard JetSmarter flights.
Get me to New York now!
We obtained this video of Maurice Paola, a disc jockey aboard a JetSmarter flight in September from Las Vegas to White Plains, New York. About 45 minutes into the trip, according to court records, Paola began threatening passengers.
Heads will be chopped off!
The pilot made an emergency landing in Nebraska, where authorities subdued and arrested him for making terroristic threats. JetSmarter said it has the most rigorous security standards in private aviation, including background checks on the majority of customers before they fly, and on-the-ground security teams that screen for narcotics, explosives, cash, and weapons for shared flights. But 2 people on the flight told us there was no security check, and there was this red flag. Just 3 days before the flight, Paola had tweeted, "From a jail cell to the private jet, they can't stop me." Customers and crew also say they witnessed passengers trying to carry drugs or cash on their flights. This suitcase, packed with suspected marijuana, was confiscated from a passenger, the picture taken by a crew member.
There were definitely drug dealers of all kinds who were carrying lots of cash on the planes in, designer bags.
JetSmarter denied any allegations of fraud or bait and switch tactics, while acknowledging that a number of members are unhappy with certain changes. The company said it is more positive about the health of our business than ever. For Petrosov, the original JetSmarter dream appears to be further and further away. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Robert Frank.
Thank you for watching this special edition of Nightly Business Report. I'm Sue Herrera.
And I'm Bill Griffith. Have a great evening, everybody. We will see you tomorrow.